recording and share my screen with you. So we are working on page 25 in your student workbook, and we are going to continue practicing comparing and ordering numbers. So our job today was to finish anything from page 25, 26, 27 in lesson 5 that we didn't do with the must-do problems. Now, there might be some of these when you set your 10-minute timer the other day that you were able to complete. So I'd like you to use this time to check. And if you have any questions, please ask. I have you guys little in the corner of my screen. So if you have an answer or if you're willing to participate, just go ahead and unmute yourself. You don't have to raise your hand. And if you have a question at any time, please just interrupt and say, excuse me, and go ahead and ask your question. Sound good? Give me a thumbs up if you're on board for just unmuting yourself and letting yourself talk. All right. Okay, looks like we did all of page 25 the other day. So unless you have any questions about maybe something you look back at and are confused, I'm going to move on to page 26. Okay, for letter D, it says 9 hundredths, 5 10,000s, and 9 ones. So since I know the hundreds is my biggest place value, well, actually 9 hundredths, we have 5 10,000s is my biggest place value. So how many tick marks should I put? Almost like up here when we knew we had 100,000s and we put 6 lines for our place values. How many lines will we need to show number in 10,000s?
5.
Very good. So I have
5.
ones, tens, hundreds, comma, thousands, 10,000s. Okay, let's start my ones place. Do I have any ones in this number?
Yes.
How many?
9.
So I put my 9 ones. Do I have any tens?
No.
Put my 0 there. Do I have any hundreds?
Yes.
How many?
9.
So I can check that off. Do I have any thousands?
No.
How about 10,000s?
You have 5 10,000s.
Nina, go ahead and read that number for us.
50,909.
Very good. Trace, you're going to do this next one for me. 6 10,000s, 5 hundreds, 9 ones. What's the biggest place value that you see? What's the biggest? 10,000s, hundreds, or ones?
10,000s.
How many places do you have in 10,000?
2.
So if I put 2 here, does that give me enough places for 10,000?
Yeah.
Now this gives me ones and tens. I have to go the whole way up to 10,000. So I have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. So I actually need 5 spots. Let's go ahead and we'll work our way backwards. We're going to start here. What place value is this, Trace?
Ones.
In this problem, do I have any ones?
9 ones.
Yep. Cross that, check that off. Do I have any tens?
No.
Any hundreds?
5.
Any thousands?
None.
Any 10,000s?
6.
Now, Trace, can you read that big number?
60,509.
Okay, it looks like we're just down to Nina and Trace. So we're going to vote. If you think 50,909 is bigger, raise your hand. If you think 60,509 is bigger, raise your hand.
And
I see Nina. What do you think, Trace? Which one's bigger?
six, 60,000.
Very good, 60,509. Okay, so we're going to make that inequality open to the bigger number. So this would be red, 50,909 is less than 60,509. Give me a thumbs up if you guys got that down. All right, you both look good. Okay, we're going to move on to number 4. Here we have to arrange the numbers from least to greatest. What do you think we should underline or highlight? This is a very common mistake fourth graders make, and it's just a paying attention error. How do we want these numbers ordered? We want to underline
Least to greatest.
There you go. Because if you know the order, but you put them in order from greatest to least, they'll mark that wrong because you're not following the directions. So a strategy that I like to use is lining these numbers up, one on top of the other. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to write 8,002 off to the side. Then right underneath that, I'm going to write 2,080. Then 820, 2008, and 8,200. And if we're putting them in order from least to greatest, we're looking for the smallest number first. So I notice that 4 of my numbers are in the thousands place. And this number right here, what's the biggest place value you see here? We don't have any thousands. So what's the largest place value? This 8. Go ahead, honey.
8,200.
No, we're looking, all of these have thousands. So those are all bigger because this number only has what as its largest place value?
8. Well, in the hundreds.
It only has hundreds. So this would be the smallest. So I'm going to put a check mark by 8,200 because this one, I'm sorry, 820, because that's going to go first. I'm going to put a little number 1 there. Okay, so this number's out of the running. Now we have these 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers left. What am I going to use to help decide which number comes next? What do you think, Trace? What's smaller, the 8s or the 2s?
The 2s.
Okay, so we're going to narrow it down to these 2. And as I look over, I have a 0 and a 0. So does that help me?
No.
No, because 0 and 0 are equal. So let's look over at our next 2. So far we compared these 2 digits and they're the same. The zeros are the same. Now, Trace, what do you notice about the tens place? What do you see here? What number is that? And what number do you see here?
A 0.
Which one is smaller?
The 0.
So, Trace, read this number for me, the whole thing.
2008.
So we know that one's going to come next. So I'm going to put a 2 here. I'm going to check that one off. So, Trace, since we know this number is eliminated, what has to be the next smallest number? It's the only one left with the 2 in the thousands place.
2080.
Very good. So that's going to be third. Okay, Nina, why don't you pick up here? Nina, I see an 8 here and an 8 here. So does the thousands place help me at all?
No.
Nope, because they're equal. Let's go to my hundreds place. What do you see here?
A 0 and a 2.
Does that help you?
Yes.
Which one's smaller?
8,002.
Okay, so I'm going to check that off and I'm going to put a 4 here. And that leaves 8,200 as my biggest number. So then we put them in order from least to greatest. So now I'm just going to go through and write them, kind of spacing them apart because I don't want too many commas. One, two, three, 4, and 5. And then I just want to double check that I go least to greatest. So I always just go through and ask myself, okay, is 820 smaller than 2008? I'm good. Is 2008 smaller than 2080? Is 2080 smaller than 8,002? And is this the biggest number, 8,200? And as long as I agree with all of those, I know I'm good to go. Okay, so the next one, Trace, how's number 5 different from number 4? What are they switching up on us?
We're doing highest to greatest. I mean,
Highest to greatest?
least.
Greatest to least. Very good. Highest to greatest would be hard because that's the same thing. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to take each of my numbers, rewrite them, and line them up by their place value. Okay, Nina, why don't you start us off with this one? If I'm going from greatest to least, do I want the numbers with more place values or less? Which one would be the biggest?
More place values? You'd want.
Okay, so let's
more.
start with our 100,000s place. I see 3 sevens. What does that tell me I need to do?
No. That does not.
Right, it doesn't tell me. So it tells me I need to look to my 10,000s place. So now, Nina, I see a 2, a 0, and a 2. What's the biggest number in that row? In that column? 2, 0,
There's
or
2
2?
the same.
Okay, we have 2 2s. And since 2 is bigger than 0, we're going to look at just this top number and the third number. So I move on to an 8 and a 0. What's bigger, 8 or 0?
8.
So I know that this number is the biggest. So I'm going to put a number 1 by 728,000. Okay, Trace, I've eliminated this top number. Now, I still have 2 numbers in my 100,000s place. Since these 7s are the same, if I move to my 10,000s, what's bigger, 0 or 2?
2.
So what would be my second largest number, Trace?
8.
No, so we already eliminated, this one's gone. So we've narrowed it down to these 2. You told me that the 2 is bigger than the 0. So that helps me here. So that tells me that this number is bigger than this number. So can you read this number for us?
720,800.
Very good. So I'm going to put it 2 by that number. You'll eliminate that one. Okay, Nina, do you know which number comes third?
$70,000. Wait, 78. No, 708,200.
Chunk this together. How do you read 708?
708.
Yep.
708,200.
How did you know that that one's bigger than the bottom number? You're correct.
Because it has 100,000 and the other one only has 10,000.
Great answer. So I'm going to eliminate that one, and then I'm left with 87,300 being my smallest. So now for my answer, I'm just going to make sure, double check myself that my numbers, this is bigger than this number. This number is going to be bigger than my number 3. And then this one is bigger than 87,300. Any questions about number 5? Putting those numbers in order. Okay, last one. 1 astronomical unit, or 1 AU, is the approximate distance from Earth to Sun. The following are the approximate distances from Earth to nearby stars given in AUS's. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different distances. We have to list the names of the stars and their distances in AUs in order from closest to farthest from Earth. So I'm going to take each of these AUs, and line them up. How do we have to order these numbers? Should we be looking for the smallest or the largest first? Or do we want to be looking for the smallest number first or the largest number?
The smallest to largest.
Why do you say smallest?
Because it says closest, and that means like it's not as far away.
Very good. Be the smallest distance. So go ahead and look at these numbers. Which one do you think is the smallest and why?
Proxima.
This one?
Yes.
Okay, Nina, why do you think that's the smallest number?
Because it has 2, 6, and no, it starts with a 2, but another one starts with a 2. So, but that one has a 6.
Trace, do you agree or disagree?
I agree.
Okay, so we have to list the names. So here we're going to put Proxima Centauri, 268,269 AUs. So that's going to be our closest, and I'll cross that one off. Trace, which one do you think comes next?
Two hundred 275,725.
Why do you think that one comes next?
Because it's the second highest above the other one.
Excuse me, Miss Septic. My computer froze, so that's why in the place I left, my computer
That's okay,
froze.
honey. We're actually on numbers, page 27, number 6. And then if you want to, after we get finished, you can stay on and we can go back and just check your work from the other questions or see if you have any questions on the ones we already did, okay? Okay, Trace, so is it that, okay, sorry, we got a little interrupted. So this was our smallest. How do you know that this one comes next?
Because the other one says 268 and the other one is 275.
Okay, so why do you think it's that one and not this one?
Because the other one's 2, and they're both 2s, and the 6 is higher than 2.
Very good. Great answer. These are all bigger than 2. So, Trace, go ahead and try to read that crazy word. What should I be writing here? What comes next? Try sounding that out. PH makes an F sound. I have no idea how to say this one. So I know how to say this one, but this one, whatever you say, will go. Alpha.
Alpha.
Just give it your best shot.
Center.
Tauri, maybe? Almost like Taurus, like the zodiac sign. I think maybe Alpha Centauri. I don't know if we're right or wrong, but it's worth giving a shot. Okay, so we have our second smallest. Okay, Peyton, we have these 3 distances left. Which one's the smallest out of those 3?
Mom,
Bernard Star.
did we do this one?
Why do you think it's Barnard Star?
Because Sirius 542,774, and then the other, whatever the other one is 665,282. And then the smallest one has to be 377,090. I mean, 377,098 AUs for us.
Because if you look at the 100,000s place, 3 is smaller than 5 and 6. So cross that one off. Okay, Nina, we're back to you. We have 2 left. What's the next smallest?
The next smallest is Cyrus. It's a Cyrus.
Why do you
star.
think, I think maybe Cyrus or Sirius. Why do you think Sirius comes next?
Because in the place value, well, in the number, so one of them is 5 and one of them is 6, and 5 is less than 6 in the 100,000th place.
Okay, Trace, so what is our farthest distance, our farthest star from the sun? What's the only one left? I think you're muted, honey. Go ahead, unmute yourself.
665,282.
You want to give that star a shot? F. Good, sound them out. They're crazy names, so I don't expect you to know. Just try sounding them out. Epsilon. Epsilon, and then this next one. How do you think this star, ER? What sound does ER make? Eridani or Eridani? I'm not sure how you say this. Okay, so we have each of these stars listed in order from closest to farthest from the sun, farthest from the earth. Okay, do you guys have any questions about ordering numbers? So let me ask you this question. If you see a whole list and it's just written out like this, number after number of really big numbers, what's something that you could do, or what's something that you have, or something that you could draw to help you organize those numbers so it's easier for you to see which one has more digits in its place value. What could you use?
You could use place value, or you could use place value. And
You can use your
but
place
if it,
value chart and put one number in every box. And then you know that the biggest one is going to be the one that has millions or 100,000s, the one that has the most digits. And then your smallest number would be the one that has less. So you know you really have to look at each and compare which one's bigger or smaller. But the most important part is knowing, am I putting in order from least to greatest, or am I putting in order from greatest to least?